I'm going to cover about planning permission process. This is one of the important steps. Let me share my personal experience with this planning permission process. To start with, not all the projects needs planning permission. So you need to go to council website and check whether your extension needs planning permission or not, whether it is covered under permitted development. This all depend on the location you live and the property type. If it's a detached, you have different rules, and if it is a semi-detached or terraced, you have different rules. So you need to consider that as well. If you're not sure you need permission or not from the council, then there is a process for that. You can apply for lawful development rights certificate. So if you apply for that, then they will tell you whether it comes under permitted rights or not. That really gives a peace of mind to you, because you're going to spend a lot of money in there. So if you are not going to the council, you think that okay, it's allowed, but just in case if it is not allowed, then it's a problem. So if you're not sure about it, then better to get the certificate. Then you'll have a peace of mind. It is really important to choose the right architect. So it'll be really good if you can choose an architect who has worked in your council area before. Make sure that architect is flexible and approachable. It's really important. Otherwise, some of your friends might refer their architect. That might work for them, but you need to understand your personality works with this architect as well. That's really important. I chose that architect because he came across a knowledgeable person. However, he didn't give his time for our project. So for every small change, he has taken 2 to 3 weeks. So that delayed our project considerably. So one point of time, we decided to move from him. Even though we paid the initial advance, we said, thanks for your support. Then we went with another architect. We were really glad that we went with the second architect. He was really friendly, and he was available whenever we want to make a change in our plan. And he visited our property a number of times to give different ideas. So after choosing the architect, now you can consult with him and decide whether you want to go for planning permission or you want to go for pre-planning permission. So first, let me tell you what is pre-planning application and why you have to go for pre-planning application. If your project is unique and none of your neighbors have done a similar kind of extension, and you are not sure whether you will get planning permission or not, in that situation, it is advisable to go for pre-planning permission. For our project, we went with pre-planning application. It's because in our street, none of the other property had similar kind of extension like what we decided to extend. In our pre-planning application, we requested for a rear side 2-story extension. The planning officer looked at our application, and he told us that they cannot approve our pre-planning application because it doesn't meet one the requirements, which is the minimum distance between our property and our neighbor's property. This outcome demotivated us. However, our council officer encouraged us to come up with some other option which they can consider. After consulting with our architect, we came with a new plan where instead of going for rear extension, we went with a side and front extension. Even though we thought that council may not approve this new design, but interestingly, our council officer said that they can consider our new design. During this process, we built a good relationship with the council officer. So throughout the project, we had asked a number of questions. So we sent emails to them, but they replied within 12 to 24 hours. That really helped us to progress with our project. Next step is planning permission. Since we had the approved pre-planning application, for us it's straightforward. So we use the same application and design and plan everything and resubmitted to the council for the planning permission. But this time, council has to send a notification letter to your neighbors, and also they will send a letter to us, which we need to stick it outside our house. This is to let our neighbors know that we are going to do an extension. And if the neighbors got any concerns regarding your extension, they can go to the council website and they can register their concerns. So during this process, if your neighbor is sending any concerns or anything to the council, don't panic, because council look at it and see, okay, this is a compliant. Then look at it, okay, whether it breaches any of the council policies. If it breaches, definitely they will say no to your project. If it does, even though neighbors compliant, but if it doesn't breach any of the regulations from the council, then they can still approve your application. So council sent it to our neighbors as expected. So few of our neighbors had concerns on our extension, but council looked at it and they said, you know what, even though they raised a concern, but our extension doesn't breach any of the policies, so they approved our application. So key points from this video are: number one, not all the development needs planning permission. So look at your council website or consult architect. Number two, choose a friendly architect, because you have to work with him very closely. So make sure that your personality works with this architect. Number three, build good relationship with a planning officer. It really helps. Instead of raising concerns against your design, they can help you with the multiple options. That is number three. Number four, consider pre-planning application if needed. For our project, it really helped. So do think about that. And last one, don't worry if your neighbors had concerns about your project. It's okay as long as it doesn't breach any of the council policies. Thanks for watching.